Hello, what is good in the hood? I hope you guys are doing good on this freakalicious Friday. It's your boy Imp. Now, weapons tier list. So the reason why I did this is because I didn't know that they just dropped the tier list a couple days back. Let's just look here. So I got the news like literally a couple hours back. Just like there it is right there. And of course, we actually have a formal balance patch, so like the changes are actually like heavy for certain moves. Like that's the path that they're taking, which is to me it makes sense. Like I don't mind. First, we gotta get rid of some of these tiers because of course, as you know, in my conspiracy, there is no such thing as a D tier weapon. I don't think it exists. This isn't impossible to win with. You'll just work harder than the other weapons. The A+ stuff is like it's really good, but it's not meta defining at the moment. And then S is just like completely at the top. So we can just start from this list down here. So let's just start with Axe, right? The only real change that they gave it so far was greatly decreased threat coverage on ground collision. So that means that the ground version of ground pound is not like there anymore, which I assume is like it's a decent change, but it's not like fundamentally there's a lot that's kind of missing. And I feel like Axe is only like in the meta because of like the high strength like trope. Other than that, I really don't think the weapon's that crazy. Just because it's like it only belongs to like one kind of play style. And I don't know, it doesn't feel like I'm like something crazy. It just feels more like I'm getting outplayed than anything. It's just a very subjective A+ or S. It just depends on what legend you play at the moment. Alright, boots. Now, what they did was they nerfed the ground pound by 3 frames. So that means it won't be as much of a throwout as it was before. And I'm actually pretty grateful for this one because Radish, while we were sparring a couple days back, he was constantly cheesing me, which, if you imagine, got pretty annoying. So, you know. They understood that the ground pound reached in places that people don't really expect. The advanced state of boots is like still weird. Ground pound or nair is absolutely stupid. Side air, that's always really annoying. D-light is the best move in the entire game. But ultimately, it can be completely non-subjective to strength or stats, and the weapon is still like at the top. So realistically to me, I think the boots are like S, just because fundamentally they're still insane. And the ground pound change, as one would imagine, is not a crazy change. Even though the disadvantage is kind of bad the disadvantage is pretty bad when we're talking about boots, but I like to believe that the advantage state is good enough to where it could just sustain its own. So with that in mind, we have boots in S. Alright, next, blasters. I don't even want to get too far into this. This weapon sucks. It used to have so many different advantages, but this D-light buff, as one would imagine, is just a little sprinkle on top, which isn't bad, but it's not what we need to make the weapon work. You see, the damage is what makes this weapon unique. Without the damage that made blasters, I don't think we can see the weapon being at the top again. But it's also because we don't really want the weapon to be too crazy in twos. But come on, think about the gameplay in ones. Kind of miss it if anything. I just want to pick up Diana at one point. So the damage doesn't really even out at this point. And to me, at least to me, it really is just like it's just a weapon with no real advantages, despite the difficulty being absolutely horrendous. Like it just is, bro. Now bow. Oh my glob. I can't tell where I want to put it. The weapon has been so hard to play with recently. It has been absolutely horrendous. Oh. Also, it didn't get touched, which is interesting. But yeah, the weapon is kind of hard to play at the moment. In neutral, it is the I can't say much. Like oh man, it is it's a nightmare. It really is a nightmare. But the problem is the advantages are still present. You know what I mean? Like it's not like blasters where it's like oh, like at least you don't have anything as a result. Like at least you still have juggling. Like recovery is still pretty consistent. Like the end light recovery strings are still pretty consistent. Like the damage is just solid. So with that in mind, we'll put it over at A+ for now. Now cannon. New dash cannon. Absolutely, it's pointless. Like I think this weapon has had very obvious advantage states. Like I think it's now like getting a bit obvious because like back then people didn't really know how to play the weapon, but like now it's a little scary. Like people are actually starting to exercise the advantage state really well, and I think it's because of references. And neutral's not too hard with it either, especially when people have been, how would I say it? They've been aerial maxing. Oh my god, I just said that. The nerf is still like a big deal. Like, so what this does is, you guys know about the grounded nair D-light double whiff? That doesn't really exist anymore. You don't have to worry too much about said double whiff, even though it was the most annoying part. So it does have a very sizable nerf. I think the aerials do need a bit more tweaking before we can say that these changes are completely definitive to the weapon. Until then, this nerfs high dex cannon, and it just nerfs like the gimmick behind neutral air. But other than that, I still think the advantage state on it is it's starting to get to us. Like we're starting to see it become more and more powerful, just as people are starting to learn how to actually play the weapon properly. And then in doubles, it's an absolute monster. So S+ it goes, or S. I mean, gauntlets, super butt. The weapon just sucks, bro. It just sucks. It really does just suck. Like, okay, I won't lie. This goes above last year's though, because like, if there's anything it's really good at, it's off stage, and it is the single most frustrating thing like one person will ever see. Like if you fight against the weapon, you'll know when something is up, and the advantages are pretty easy to demonstrate. So I can't really tell where it's at, but like again, advantages are present. So what do we do? I feel like this is a moment where blasters is the only real weapon in A-. So, but I can't really tell. I can't stand getting shoveled by Endlight though, and some of the damage with gauntlets and neutral is a bit wacky. Like I know it's a bit more than usual, but like I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like the weapon is inconsistent, to say the least. Where offstage is not supposed to be a fundamental for any weapon, it's a fundamental for gauntlets, and they kill you at white as a result. It is the single most annoying thing ever. Ever! Like literally ever. I don't know. So A+ for now. Hammer. Ooh. Hammer, my beloved. Let's say the top of A-. Again, completely subjective. This weapon is completely subjective to strength again. I won't lie, I don't know. It's not oppressive. The advantage state is okay, I guess. The neutral, as mentioned before, is disgusting. I literally don't know how people do it. Like, quit, bro. Play something else. Isn't it kind of hilarious though how blasters and hammer being an A- still make Cassidy like insane? It's because of the stats, like completely saving the weapon. Play hammer in A- for now. Ah, so righteous. I can't tell where I want to put this, but the problem is there's been so much about Greatsword recently that people have kind of brought to light. Turns out, while I was propagandizing that Greatsword was actually pretty butt, they were hiding technology for me. They were hiding the little Endlight bridge true combo that Flower got hit by a couple months ago. The weapon is just fast. It's too fast, but the thing is, this is like grounds to kind of talk about this. They decreased in their acceleration, which is a big deal, because now the weapon is like getting less lenience with aerials, which is what made the weapon so annoying in the first place. It was like, finally, somebody knows how to do it properly. You know what I mean? We've been in a position where nobody knows how to actually use the aerials properly for like 2 years, I think. They also increased the time where you can cancel, but sidelight was the biggest like tool. Like it was the most annoying part of the entire like weapon. So this is a big deal, and this is where we can actually consider like where Greatsword might be. I'd like to think that personally, Greatsword might just be an A+. It's still like extremely flexible against every and any matchup. Like that's just how they made the weapon, to be fair. The disadvantage state is meh, but the main thing is that they really got rid, or they didn't get rid of the neutral, but they reduced it like in a position where this is actually a pretty drastic change. Like it's gonna be one that you can see and you can feel while you're playing. I mean, yeah, with that in mind, the gimmick is just like open to punishment more often. So for now, until we can find a basis where I see myself being proved wrong as a result, it'll be an A+. Towerz. I don't think I need to explain this one. There's a reason why everybody and their mom has been picking up the weapon. I cannot. Towerz are just like they're just a walking gimmick to me. I'm not a fan, bro. It's super nasty. Like, and there's something up with the gameplay. Like, and I'm no low tier god. I know how it is to play a top weapon, and I know that when I find the solution to everything, and the only problem is killing, then you have yourself a top weapon for sure. Don't want to get too far into it. Just know, Towerz fundamentally have already been very obnoxious before, but until we get like a sizable like change, I think this one is pretty self-explanatory, you know? Now let's look at what they nerfed here. They actually went towards the one thing that was constantly being thrown out by you know who. Increased total recovery time on miss from the ground version from 9 fixed 10 to 11 fixed 10. 2 frames is it doesn't sound like much, but when you know who represents it, which is mostly high dex Towerz, this is pretty much everything. It just gets rid of their double whiff ability. So it's like I don't have to deal with it as much. But the problem is the disadvantage state on Towerz is always very flexible. Like with cannon and boots, you can still mostly punish like the aerial commitments as long as you're prepared enough. But with Towerz, I can't really tell. It really is like a hard decision. And historically, I already get really frustrated by Towerz. So take that kind of opinion with a grain of salt. I think it has the most flexible like potential out of all of the weapons here, and the advantage state is disgusting. So until that gets changed, I like to believe that Towerz are a very comfortable S tier. Orb. This weapon is a walking gimmick. New Dash has completely violated my space or my patience with any of these weapons. Like, the movement with dash is completely like, I think it generally benefits gauntlets, but the advantage state on the weapon is like it's alright just in comparison. You know what I mean? Like the damage output that these characters have, or any of the weapons with these characters with these weapons. You know what I mean. All I'm saying is, bro, you put yourself up against an orb character, last stock red, you're not winning. I don't care who you are. You could be Sandstorm 2018 and you're still losing. But enough yapper. The damage buildup is actually stupid. It's gotten lapped out a bit more, especially with Silent Nair Sair being a string as a result of Silent Nair also being a true combo, which to me, again, is a bit crazy. They also did buff side air, and they didn't touch orb this patch, so it's safe to say that for the time being, it'll be solid for the Royale and CEO. So there goes, back in S. Lance. The advantage state on this weapon is actually really not that sizable anymore. Like, it has suffered completely against new dash of any of these weapons from any of these tiers. I don't think it's that flexible, but like it's still more flexible than it would be with blasters or hammer. So let's not talk about it too much. Let's keep it an A for now. Scythe. Oh my glob. Oh my glob, oh my glob, oh my glob. It's literally right there. It is right there. It is right there. It is right there. Now, the advantage state on Scythe is, it's like literally not self-explanatory. Or it is self-explanatory. It is the single most obnoxious thing to deal with. But the problem is, it's just not in comparison. Scythe hasn't benefited from New Dash the way I thought it would. While Scythe does have really good advantage state, a lot of the things, the main thing that separates it from the other weapons in S tier just has a lot to do with coverage. So, the problem is Scythe kind of lets go of the opponent after a good couple amounts of damage, but with all these other weapons, they literally stay right in place. You know what I mean? So like they have more consistency, and that consistency, as on top of it being a string weapon, is exactly what makes it so annoying. It's literally just annoying. While Scythe doesn't have like the complete advantage, or it's not like a super dominant weapon, it is still very capable, and I think it's the most capable out of the four. So I think Scythe should go an A+. Spear. I really can't tell where this thing is right now. And I think that's grounds to put it in A+. I think it's the best weapon out of A+, because I've played the weapon before. I mean, I know when it's good. And coverage and consistency are present. Now the damage is also is a bit like iffy. That's the only problem. And the neutral is not the worst, but it's like it doesn't really help much against New Dash. That's the only problem. But like literally, other than that, Spear is like in a very complete position. Like it could almost be S. Like it's like a contender against all these weapons because the weapon exercises advantage state like really well. Like there's no matchup that the weapon doesn't lose against. You know what I mean? Like it's always been flexible. Like Spear is the kind of weapon where if you miss, you're gonna get move punished every time. But with the weapons above, coverage and double whiff ability is pretty much guaranteed. So until Spear exercises those kinds of qualities, I think it should stay at A+, but other than that, it's a very good contender for S. Lastly, Sword. I want to put it here so bad. I really do. The damage is actually pretty stupid if you know how to juggle properly. And I think the weapon will never have a bad matchup. The neutral is actually it's pretty easy. It's actually pretty solid. Like I think engagements with this weapon are pretty flexible, and its grounds to actually like become like a next top weapon. The disadvantage state, as you know on Sword, is like super flexible, especially with down air being so sizable and air additionally being sizable on advantage state. Recovery is also like silly, and the opportunities to kill are usually very it's like in front of you, really. I like to imagine that it has the potential to be S. And from the looks of it, again, they haven't touched the weapon. So I think this is grounds to say that this is a potential top 5.